Hey, welcome to Atkins Diet in the Kitchen. My name is Ken Altena, and I was offered the opportunity to be able to review this Avalon Bay digital air fryer. And you might be wondering, why on a low carb diet do I care about deep fat frying versus air frying, and which way is potentially more healthy? So I've been utilizing this deep fat fryer for many years. I've made everything from wings to chicken nuggets to different fried foods like breaded Parmesan crisps. So why would I be looking at potentially doing air frying versus deep fat frying? So here are my problems with deep fat frying, and it's not so much about the fat content or frying in fat. It's about the mess of dealing with the oil and being able to do oilless frying within the air fryer. I often get the question, which oil do I utilize? Well, certainly I could utilize cheap corn oil or canola oil, but you deal with a lot of industrial sort of negative effects utilizing those cheap oils. So that typically leads you into maybe a lard content or utilizing peanut oil. Well, if you've checked out the price of peanut oil in the past, you're looking about $12 to $18 a gallon for peanut oil. And for this 5-liter deep fat fryer, it gets kind of expensive dealing with that. And then of course you have to deal with the cleanup issue of where do you handle all this old oil in between the times in which you're frying, because I don't fry every day. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of why I was looking at the air fryer to begin with. So I'm going to be reviewing this air fryer on a few critical characteristics. One, how well does it actually cook the food? You know, is the food tasty at the end? If it's not tasty, I don't care what the other benefits around it is, I'm not going to end up utilizing it. The second one is how easily does it clean up? Do I have to scour the pans or etc.? So, that's the sort of the negative I'm seeing with a deep fat fryer. I don't want to pick up one burden for another burden. The third one is, how big is it? How much load can it actually cook at a time? When I'm making wings, I'm typically making between 1.5 pounds to 2.5 pounds of wings at a time for my entire family. Can I do that within this within the air fryer? And then the final one, is there any other benefit or special options that I can do with the air fryer that I couldn't do with something else within my oven, within my kitchen? So one of the things I'm going to be testing is I'm going to be making jalapeno poppers, which unbreaded would typically be done in the oven, probably take about 30 to 40 minutes to get totally crisp and done. I'm going to be making those within the air fryer as well. So with that, there's going to be I'll be cooking 3 different foods within the air fryer. One's going to be frozen chicken wings, straight from the freezer. The second one will be a batch of low carb chicken nuggets that I made yesterday and been chilling in the freezer for the last day. And then of course the jalapeno poppers. So come along with me as we cook it up low carb style. Alright, this digital air fryer has a number of key benefits, and the reason one of the benefits around it is simply being digital. So some of the original air fryers that you might have seen an analog dial in which you're kind of guessing at the temp, as well as guessing how long you're actually going to cook the food. So I like the benefit in the fact that I can easily adjust the amount of minutes that I'm cooking something, or adjust the temp to whatever the specific food needs in it. It also has specific preset settings for a variety of different foods that I can easily pick up. So I'm going to be picking the fried chicken one, and that's roughly at 360 degrees. I won't need 18 minutes. I'm only going to need to do this for 15 minutes, and I'm going to let the air fryer pre-warm for about 2 minutes before I actually cook the food. You can hear it right now. It's very minimal in terms of its loudness. That fan isn't ongoingly loud. It's no louder than, say, a microwave running within your oven, within your kitchen. Alright, so my air fryer has been going for 2 minutes now. Let me go ahead and open it and go ahead and pile in the low carb chicken nuggets first. Okay, you can see that the basket is indeed very deep and could easily handle that batch of low carb nuggets. I'd say this is probably enough for 2 or 3 people at minimum. So let's go ahead and put it in for the 15 minutes, and you'll see the finished product when it's done. Alright, so we just finished up in both the deep fat fryer as well as the air fryer, and these are the respective foods from each of them, and I'm going to try each of them to see which one I like more. Now, just on the frank surface of it, while I was cooking these, I had to turn on my vent for the deep fat fryer, but I wouldn't have had to for the air fryer for simply smell alone, and not having to have potentially a smell of oil that may be going rancid within my kitchen. The deep fat fryer, or excuse me, the air fryer won in that regard. So let's try the taste test and then we'll move on to the next one. So here's the deep fat fried one. It is obviously darker than the air fried one. Alright, the taste of that one wasn't necessarily bad. You could tell that the oil wasn't necessarily fresh. It's probably the third or fourth usage of that particular oil. So it wasn't that sort of fresh peanut oil taste that you might have expected. So let's go ahead and try the air fried one. Alright, you could definitely tell that one was not cooked in oil. And the fact that you could really taste the breading a whole lot more than, say, the oil from the breading. It was good. If I had to rank the two, the crispness of the deep fat fried one was more, but really didn't miss it in the air fried ones. So let's go ahead and test out the second iteration, which is the frozen chicken wings. Alright, so we just finished up the wings in both of them. This would be from the deep fat fryer, this would be from the Airstream oven. I want to compare and contrast the two. It did take about 10 minutes, 15 minutes longer inside the air fryer than it did inside the deep fat fryer. But the real question, how does it taste? So let me try the deep fat fryer one first. Pretty good. Let's try the Buffalo Airstream ones that was cooked without oil. Just as crispy as the ones that were from the oven, potentially a little more juicy because it was sealed in rather than potentially escaping inside the deep fat fryer. I like these more, regardless of how much longer it took it to make. From a load perspective, the air fryer was able to cook just as many wings as the deep fat fryer was without overflowing, and I didn't have to worry about the grease coming out over the top doing with frozen wings, putting in potentially ice crystals into the air fryer like I do have to do with the deep fat fryer. So much safer way of cooking. So the final thing we're going to evaluate is how does it cook something that the deep fat fryer can't specifically cook, like jalapeno poppers. So in that we're going to utilize this cooking rack so we can have multiple different layers of jalapeno poppers being cooked at the same time. So I'll load up my air fryer, cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll show you the finished product when it's done. Welcome back. So the Avalon digital air fryer really finished up the jalapeno poppers. They turned out very nicely. And this, of course, is something that the deep fat fryer can never have done. So I asked my wife what was her perspective on the air fryer, and she really liked the convenience of being able to clean it rapidly. Take the basket out, everything cleans up in seconds inside the dishwasher or in the sink. As opposed to the deep fat fryer, which frankly takes 10 to 15 minutes to cool down, strain the grease out, scrub out the bottom with some sort of scouring pad. Really much more difficult to handle the deep fat fryer. So what you'll see on my countertop is featuring this thing, and the old deep fat fryer will be going away. I hope this reaches everyone in great health. It's been my pleasure to review the Avalon Bay digital air fryer. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.